Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome. Thank you all for being here. I am joined by Rod, the new co-host. If you haven't been around the last few weeks, Julian chose to step down. He's got a lot going on. So him and Kayla are all over the place, and it was just too much. So there's no hard feelings, no hard feelings. I keep getting comments, and I promise you there are no hard feelings. Mike and Joe are below us, and they have been on before. Joe is Philly Picker, Mike is January House. So I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves, tell you what they've got going on, and then we've already got some questions in the chat. So here is Joe.
Hello, everyone. My name's Joe. I go by Philly Picker on YouTube and on Instagram. I'm a part-time reseller. I'm based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I mostly sell on eBay, and hopefully I can answer some of your questions that you have here today. And Kat, thanks for having me on again. It's always a fun show.
Perfect. Here's Mike.
Hey, everyone. My name is Mike. I am the January House. I'm a reseller here in central Pennsylvania, right outside of Harrisburg. I have two YouTube channels, the January House and the January Auction House, where we do auctions live every Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern. So if that interests you, stop on by. Happy New Year to everyone. And thanks again to Kat for having me on.
Perfect. All right. It looks like we're starting off with the dolphin. We have a new member, Miss Evangeline. And real quick, before I give her the dolphin, this week is insane as far as member lives. We had member live shipping today for over 2 hours until my phone died. We shipped out over 50 packages on eBay, and then we shipped out over 50 on Whatnot. And then Thursday this week is listing reviews. So I review your store and tell you what you can do to help increase sales. And then Saturday is live sourcing. So basically this week I have 4 YouTube lives and 5 Whatnot lives. So I am live like all the time this week to make up, because next week I will be in the Keys. I will come on Tuesday from Key West. I will be live from Key West Tuesday, but other than that, no lives. So this week is jam-packed full of member stuff. So Miss Evangeline, thank you for joining. I am going to give you your dolphin.
Welcome to the flipping family.
Perfect. All right. Miss Patty wants to know, can you do just a buy it now sale on Whatnot? So am I the only one actively on Whatnot right now?
Yeah, I don't sell on Whatnot. I buy on there occasionally, but I don't sell.
I don't sell on there either.
I will be at the end of the month,
So you could do just a buy it now sale, because they do have a buy it now section, but I don't sell very much from my buy it now. So people can only, they're starting to get where you can add stuff when you're not live that people can buy, but the main idea of the platform's live auction. So I don't know how well you would do with a buy it now only format. I don't feel like you would sell a ton, just because the platform is kind of around like the social aspect, going live, talking to the buyers, showing them the stuff. So if you did buy it now only, I feel like you would need to be like, oh, here's this. And I just don't feel like it would work. Maybe if there's some other Whatnot sellers in the chat that feel different, but I don't think it would work very well.
I think you would have
so,
go ahead. Wouldn't you? I was saying you would have to have a big following, because if you're doing a buy it now, when you putting your buy it now in there, it goes to all of your followers on there that would see what you actually have listed. But just starting out as a new seller, I don't think it would be that good though for you.
And I don't think it would notify them. They would have to go into your catalog and see. Yeah. And I have a pretty big following. And like I said, I don't sell a ton from my buy it now on there. It's mostly all auction. Miss Kathleen wants to know, and she kind of asked this probably to the chat, but I think we can all answer, thoughts on how to ship quilts. So if you sold quilts or blankets or throws, how did you do it?
I've sold a few in the past. I sold a real expensive, it was like an Amish quilt. and I ended up putting that in a box. But then I ended up selling a Washington Redskins or football team, whatever they're called now, blanket one time, and I just ended up putting it in a big poly bag, and it was cheaper. I think the Amish quilt was somewhere around $250, so that's why I put it in a box. And I believe I shipped it in just one of those USPS large mailing boxes, and I shipped it by weight.
Right, me too. I've never sold an actual like a quilt. You'd be surprised. I'm here in Central PA. You think I'd find Amish quilts like all the time, but even at auctions, the Amish buy the Amish quilts at the auction. It's like crazy, and they go for good money even at auction here. But I've sold bigger blankets, and like Joe says, I just wrap them up and I just try to put them in the large USPS mailing box, not the flat rate one. There's a large USPS mailing box, and then I just ship it by weight.
Usually, if I ship anything large like that, I try to put in a poly bag on both sides of it, or even I have used garbage bags in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people are offended by that, some people like it or not, but part of the reason I do this is I don't want the box to get wet. So that's a good reason why I've done that before, and I would actually email the buyer and let them know, hey, put it in a garbage bag first to keep it from getting wet, then put it in the box so they don't get offended by that. But that's usually my quotes and big blankets.
Yeah, so sometimes I will ship them in only a garbage bag, and I will double it over. I use like the black, really thick bags. But just like Joe said, if it was an expensive quilt, and I have some quilts listed at $500 and $600 right now in my store. So if one of those sold, I wouldn't be shipping it in a garbage bag. I would find a big enough box, and it would take a pretty big box to put it in. I would be shipping those in a box. So if it's, I would say if it's under $100, I would probably be okay shipping it in a garbage bag. And I just slap a label on top of the garbage bag, double it over, make sure it's okay. But the expensive ones, I would probably, just like Rod said, I would put it in a garbage bag before I put it in the box so it didn't get wet. We did that with the jacket today. So my higher end clothing items, I will put into poly bags before I put them in a box. And if they're not that expensive, they just go in either a poly or a box by itself. All right. Scott wants to know, Scott's sending money to get information out of us. What is something about you that no one on social media knows? I know, right?
Right. Yeah, that's a good question, Scott.
Oh man, that is a good question. It's a hard question too.
I'll save Joe and go first for a minute if you want.
All right, go ahead.
I when I was younger, one time tried out for the show The Weakest Link. Remember the show The Weakest Link with that lady that would like
you are the weakest link.
Goodbye. Yeah, you are. I didn't make the show, so apparently I am. True story. In Philadelphia, I went down there and tried out. Yep.
Well, now that you're on game shows like that, my brothers and I tried out for the Family Feud, and I'm probably the reason why we're not on it. We didn't make it. Not that I answered the questions wrong or anything like that. We did good. We played like 2 or 3 practice rounds in front of the crowd and all that. But I ended up screwing up the whole thing where I said my kids' ages were wrong when I said it was terrible. It was a terrible introduction. So I think that's the reason why we weren't on there. So,
well, I guess I have to continue the trend with the game shows here. And I was at Universal Studios. I got picked to be on the Fear Factor in Orlando with some girl I was dating at the time. It was just the one in studio, not the one that was on TV or anything like that. But I talked so much crap to the audience, everything else, and I literally got eliminated the first round, and she won the show. So I will never post that on social media.
I've not tried out for a game show or been on one. I dropped out of high school. I don't think I've ever said that on social media. I dropped out of high school 3 months before graduation because I was partying too much. I needed like 2 credits to graduate, and I just quit. I was too busy partying, having a good time. So I ended up going back when I was pregnant with my oldest son, and it took me 2 months to graduate, and I got my diploma. So I did get my diploma, but it was like 3 years later after I was done partying and I was pregnant at that point. But yeah, so you can still, and I ended up going to college 11 years after that. So it's never too late, but yeah, I don't think anybody knew that. All right, Scott, I'm going to pick you this dolphin. Here you go. Dun, 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 dun. Diane wants to know, how does eBay calculate gross sales figures for 1099? And she's asking right below it, does Mercari use the same figures?
I'm not exactly sure how they calculate it. I know when we get our 1099, I pay somebody to do my taxes, and we figure it all out that way. It's the easiest way. It's the best money that I ever spent, other than my thermal printer. Paying somebody to do my taxes has been a lifesaver for me.
Did I freeze? Hello?
No, we hear you.
Okay. Is it me?
You're back.
Yeah, I don't, Diane, I don't know how eBay calculates, final value fees on different things. So I have no idea how they calculate gross sales for 1099. But yeah, I just print it out like when they send it to me, and I give it to the tax guy, and then he does the work. And like Joe said, the best money you can spend.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, they actually include the price of the item and the shipping cost as well, part of your gross sales, because you do get that money, and then you have to deduct that from your expenses on there. So I think they do factor all those in, because if you actually look at your phone, what you sold in the app compared to what you sold in your My eBay store, those two numbers are going to be different. So that number in your My eBay store is going to be the higher number. And I think that's the one you actually get taxed on, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think, I don't know what the difference is anymore, because they, like, a few months ago that changed where you're not seeing the same thing on the phone and the computer. But I believe, just like Rod, your shipping, your fees are in that, as well as taxes, which a lot of people have thrown a fit about. So you basically have to show the taxes come in and the taxes go out. And same thing with the shipping fees. Shipping fees go in, shipping fees go out. And I think Mercari is probably going to be the same if you're using their labels. So if you're using their labels, it would show money coming to you for shipping, money going out. But if you're printing your own label, Mercari would have no way to record that on a 1099. And I'm going to go ahead and grab this. I started, but Old Things New is asking if Whatnot does. Legally, the $600 requirement went away for this year. So it will be effective this year for taxes next year, is my understanding. So Whatnot is going to have to send you a 1099 if you made over, I think the threshold's still 20,000. So if you made over 20,000 on Whatnot, you'll get a 1099. But next year, it'll be that $600 point for all of the platforms. So you need to be prepared this year.
Is it 20,000 and 200 sales, I think, to get your 10?
Yeah,
that's what
it's Rod.
Yeah.
It's or.
It's or. Okay.
So if you had $200 sales, they would still send you a 1099 if you meet either of the thresholds. So you could still get. Yeah. So Scott, it is now, but my understanding is this year they're going to impose it. So for taxes next year, unless it doesn't get passed. Beach Walker sent a $5 super chat and said, have any of you used TurboTax, and do you think it would be too hard to add in my eBay sales and information by myself first year selling on eBay?
I never used it like I said, I'm part-time, so I do have a full-time job, and I've owned a couple duplexes that I rented out. So I've always had somebody else do my taxes. It's just always been easier for me just to, pass it off to somebody else that knows what they're doing. I've never tried doing it myself, so I couldn't help you.
Yeah, I never used TurboTax. I guess it wouldn't be that hard if depends on how many items you sold. Even, I know you're first year selling on eBay, but if it's just a few, if it's not that much, it's probably not that hard. But if it's a lot, then it's probably, I would think it would be some work.
With TurboTax, I haven't used TurboTax in the past, so I just like everyone else on here, I have an accountant that I do use for mine. The only thing that says, just remember, no one here, so don't take any of our advice about taxes. Our accountants, all right? So we're just going to give you some good information on there, but you guys have to do your own due diligence when it comes to taxes. We're not accountants here, but I will say, don't step over $100 bills to pick up pennies by cutting corners to try to save money. Get an accountant, because they're going to find things that you can write off that you might not even think about, especially your first year. So your first year is very crucial. It also depends on how much you made. Like if you only made $1,000 or $2,000, then maybe you want to go that route. But if you're talking making at least 5 figures or more, get an accountant, because if you made 5 figures your first year, you're probably going to continue that growth, and they're going to let you know what to prepare for the following year. And it's good to have that conversation. So highly recommend getting them.
So I use an accountant. I have not used TurboTax. Do I think it would be too hard to add the eBay sales? I don't think it would be hard, but I think it would not be the intelligent route to go, to say it nicely. And I'm saying that because you don't know all the write-offs that you could get, and you could actually be getting a refund. So the first 2 years on eBay, when I went back to reselling, I sold 100,000 and I got money back, guys. If you have a good accountant, it will pay for itself. So like you can use a portion of your house. You'd need to know the laws for that. You need to have your mileage. You need to have your cost of expenses. If you do have a home office, you can use 1% of your electric. You can use 1% of your internet. You can use 1% of your phone. So tell me, do you think you could figure out where to put all of that stuff in on TurboTax? And if the answer is yes, then you probably could do your taxes without TurboTax. So it pays for itself. And I don't mean like me having one monthly, but go to one to file your taxes and go to one that's familiar with e-commerce. Because so Karen Collins is saying accountants can find deductions you never knew of. Like you could make a refund that you didn't know you could have just by going to an accountant. So I would not advise it. Just because there's so many deductions, and I got refunds with selling a lot, guys. So there's a ton. And I mean, it might, hold on, Richard.
Like for me, my TurboTax is, I think, like $40 to use it to do your taxes. My first year using an accountant, I just used it for the end of the year. He charged me $225 for my business. So I mean, there's only a $180 difference there. And I made up that money tenfold along the way. And with Kat's a little bit different because she does a monthly fee for hers. So, but she's on the next level. But highly recommend it, man.
Yeah, like we file S Corp. I have payroll. I have a bunch going on that your typical reseller's not going to have going on. But so I think you could probably get it done for like $150. I don't think it would be a lot. Mine is only like $300 for the actual return, because that's not included in my monthly bookkeeping. And Richard had a good point. I've been dropping my reseller Genie, or Richard has been. I asked him to, because my reseller Genie imports all of your eBay sales. You can put in the cost of the item. It'll tell you your profits, and it'll actually spit out spreadsheets for you to give to an accountant. So if you're not doing that and you're having trouble thinking about last year, now I would start something like that this year. And they started when GoDaddy stopped doing it for resellers. My reseller Genie stepped up, said we need a program like this that'll import all the eBay data. And they made that program. And then it actually, I think it integrates with QuickBooks as well. So that is a really good option for this year. Like, now's the time to start. You're only 3 days in. You need to track your mileage. You need to track your purchases. You need to track stuff, or have somebody that will. So next year, you're not in January going, where did I go? And how much did I spend? And so I know that was long-winded, but I really think you could save money and possibly get money back if you use an accountant. That's kind of the short of it for me. All right, here is, let's do the Dalton riding the dolphin for Beachwalker. Miss Lisa. Thank you, ma'am.
I couldn't find it.
To
move it.
So I know I was long-winded, but I'm kind of passionate about that because I'd hate for you to pay more money that you don't need to and not get money back that you could. You know, that's the big thing.
What I usually tell, I was to say, is you can always do your taxes in TurboTax, see what your return is going to be, and then take it to account and say, hey, this is what my return is going to be. Can you save me more money? And have them look at your books too. There's always another option. You can see what the benefit would be then.
Yeah, for sure. Cheryl wants to know if you're running a sale and have sent coupons to repeat buyers, do buyers get both discounts, the sale and the coupon?
No, they only get one.
Right.
Same thing. Sure?
Same thing if you send an offer. They only get the offer or the coupon.
Offer.
Yeah, eBay doesn't.
I didn't know that.
Discounts.
Yeah, because I just had it happen to me. A guy, I sent him an offer, and then he sent me a message. He goes, "I can't use the coupon at checkout." I said, "It's either or. You can use the coupon or the offer, but not both together." He was like, "Okay."
I am so glad to know that because we were talking about that on my live shipping today, and I did not know that. I thought they could still use the coupon. So that means for me, because I run sales pretty much 24 hours a day, a coupon would be pointless because they'd never be able to use it, right? Because I always have a sale on.
Do you run a sale on your newly listed items? So if you list an item today, do you right away?
I price up to, because I put my whole store on because I have so many items I don't handpick or exclude. So, okay. So that would defeat the purpose for me.
Right.
All right. Cheryl wants to know Goldberg or Steve Austin. The most important question of tonight.
Steve Austin, hands down.
Yeah, Stone Cold for sure.
Stone Cold's crack some beers.
I'm going to make it unanimous and agree with the guys. I like Stone Cold Steve Austin. All right. Miss Jane says, Happy New Year's. What is your favorite reseller platform and why?
eBay's mine. I think I'm most comfortable on there. I tried other platforms and, with Mercari, just the extra time. Like I said, I'm part-time, so this could be different. If you are full-time, it might be worth, selling on the different platforms. But I just found that I never got comfortable with the other platforms. eBay was the first thing that I tried out. I stayed, consistent with that. Like I said, I did try Mercari out. I hate printing out the shipping labels and all that other stuff, using different printers, and it just got to be too much. And then I would forget I did a little bit of Facebook Marketplace, and I would forget to take down the items that sold on one. Then I was canceling items. It just got to be too much for me. So I just kind of right now I stick to eBay.
I like Mercari. I mean, I sell primarily on eBay.
That's why there are four of us. You're gonna get four different opinions, guys.
I sell primarily on eBay, and obviously, the bulk of my sales are on eBay. But I like the interaction on Mercari. I mean, there's things I don't like about Mercari as well. You know what I mean? But I like that it seems to be easier interaction with the people on Mercari when I list items. Maybe it's just the items that I list, and I don't know. But I like selling on Mercari. I don't like waiting to get rated to get paid on Mercari, but and I don't like that they don't do media mail shipping on Mercari. And the label printing is terrible, right? Yep. So, but we can go down the laundry list of eBay's problems.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, at least we get paid right away, or whatever. You know what I mean? So anyway, I like Mercari.
I mean, I've sold on all the platforms. I always say that Mercari's the elementary level, eBay's high school level, and Amazon's college level, when it comes to selling on there. And Mercari's so simplistic, but I like eBay. I mean, that's what I originally started on. It was the OG reselling platform when it was just strictly auction-based back in the day. So it's eBay. I love eBay. So eBay for life.
So if you asked me this 3 months ago, I would have told you a different answer. I'm going to say my favorite platform is Whatnot. I love it. I love the interaction. I love hanging out. I love selling 100 things in 2 hours. And honestly, it's the most income for me now. It has surpassed eBay. eBay is climbing back up since my new assistant started, though. We did almost $4,000 last week. So the eBay game is back on, and the eBay game is strong. But I really like Whatnot. I like hanging out. I like talking. My husband actually likes it. He's never liked eBay. I've had to force him to help me with that. He loves sitting and helping me run Whatnot. And yeah, so I'm gonna say Whatnot. That's my favorite. I did want to put up, so I highlighted these so I could put them up real quick. Where did they go?
I actually unhighlighted them.
Did you unclick them, Rod?
I thought they were actually.
I click them. He unclicks them. Where did they go? Where did they go?
I apologize. We highlight.
No, you're fine. But where'd they? I'm like, where'd they go?
There's one.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, I just wanted to click and show. So Mary said that she's had. I'm clicking and Rod's unclicking is what's going on right now.
Go ahead. I'll let
it's
you
like
go.
a clicking war. Okay, I'm clicking it. Don't touch it. Mary said people use her coupon on top of sales. So it can be done. And then Hendo said the same thing happened last week. The seller, somebody accepted her offer and tried to use the coupon, but they couldn't. So there's one towards the other. But then there was another comment here. New Life Curator said I ordered an item on sale and I got the coupon discount. So somebody said they think that it's a setting on eBay. So the seller somewhere has to check that they can use the coupon or they cannot. So for me,
okay.
I would be okay with them using the coupon on top of the sale because I always run a sale, but I wouldn't want them to be able to use a coupon in addition to an offer because I'm sending an offer as a discounted price off the sale. So
okay,
that's
maybe it's just for offers they can.
Maybe it's just offers then.
Yeah.
So maybe like if it's a sale price they can, but not an offer.
Right.
Unless it's just an eBay glitch. There's lots of eBay glitches too.
That could be that.
Yeah.
Mark, you are not authorized to terminate people. I love you, but you're not authorized. Yes, everyone research it. Go try and buy something on somebody's store who has a sale and use a coupon. Go support eBay sellers, right? I'll make a coupon if you want to try it. So I want to say something about this because when we were doing our live shipping today, somebody in my live shipping, my membership shipping, said that their Pinterest was suspended and they were wondering if it was because they were sharing their eBay listings. So I don't know if the guys know, but Cheryl said we can add listings to Pinterest. Does anyone know how it works and is it beneficial? So I want to ask this out to the chat and of course the panel answer if we know, but if anybody knows why somebody might have got their Pinterest suspended, let us know too.
No, I don't know.
I wouldn't know. No,
not at all. No.
And I don't know either, Cheryl. I know some people for like Etsy, they'll pin their own products and that could bring them sales. And some people use Pinterest to get sales. I'm not familiar with that method personally. Carrie says, when you drop your packages at the post office, do you get a receipt? I tell my husband it isn't necessary, but he insists on waiting in line to get one. Settle this for us. You might get a 50-50 answer here, and it might not ever be settled.
I don't actually go to the actual post office. I go to like one of those contracting places that I call it the fake post office. It's actually a sports card shop that's not far from my house, but I can only drop off.
It's a Philly thing.
Yeah, I can only drop off USPS packages there, and it's
from 4 to 6 at night.
It's rarely crowded. I never had a problem there, but literally as soon as I go in, I just put them on the counter. and they scan them for me, and they give me a receipt. Usually I look around at the sports memorabilia stuff that they sell in the store. So I don't actually go. I can't tell you the last time I really was inside a post office, but I always get a receipt just in case. And 9 times out of 10, they end up in the cup holder of my car. And then eventually when I fill up with gas, I throw them out. So I don't hold on to them, but it's just a peace of mind, I think, to get the receipt.
No, you don't wait in line. Get a receipt. This is 2023. Now we don't need receipts like our grandparents had back in the day. You know what I mean? Like that's the whole point of printing your package
You
labels
got
out.
one right now.
You take
one.
your packages, you drop them on the counter, you say "see you later," you walk out the door. You don't need. Tell your husband you don't need to wait in that. Why are you gonna wait in that line? What are you doing? What is he
I don't
doing?
wait in a line. Like I said, I go to a different one. So I mean, there's never a line in my.
You don't need a receipt, Carrie.
Absolutely not. No receipts. I walk in, they have a little kiosk over the wall. I can just throw them all in and go on. So I'm in and out of the post office 2 minutes every day. And that's the way I like it. I'm not going to sit and wait in line and waste my time. So absolutely not.
I'm going to make it half and half. I'm sorry. I get a receipt. And I'm not doing it to be facetious. And my husband does too. We wait in line because some post office don't scan your stuff. So if they scan my scan form and give me a receipt, I know they scan my stuff. So
can you imagine Kat's receipt at the post office? It's probably like the CVS receipt. You ever go to CVS and get that long ass receipt?
No, but they're almost like 90% are on a scan form. So eBay and whatnot are on a scan form. So that's only one thing. But Mercari, Poshmark, and Etsy are not on a scan form. So we wait. So you just are permanently locked. I see a $49.99 super chat from Mr. Chris. Wow. He says, I buy shit, enters the top of the staircase, descending into the chat, waving to everybody on a serious note, showing support. Chris, did you see me write to you? Chris was, I'm like, I don't know if you want everybody to know where you were at, but he was in Primetime Treasure Hunter show. I saw his name like on Whatnot. You know how the giveaway, like all the names go? Okay. I saw you there. there. So thank you so much for I'm watching you. Yes, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to give you a dolphin, but I highlighted your comment. Chris was asking, has anyone found or sold San Franciscan ware atomic starburst? So let's all go around and answer this, and then I will give him his dolphin. But he found an 80-piece set for $30. So do any of you guys know what that is?
No idea.
Nope, but it sounds like a great deal. 80 pieces for $30.
Sounds like a candy, but no.
That is some high dollar China that one piece will sell for well over $30. So that is an absolutely amazing find. I'll have to look it up. They sell for a lot of money. I have found some, but not that cheap. I think I got like 20 pieces for $150, but I've only found it once ever. All right. Which one? We're giving you the dancing one, Christopher. Thank you so much. I appreciate the super chat. Dun, 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 dun. Hold on. I'm going to tell you guys too. What? Yoga Joe. Thank you. Porch Pirates and Okay. I'm reading this. Hold on. I'm going to click back on the super. As Pirates, like poor pirates.
Right.
They're Porch Pirates and Pirates. Post office pirates. So if you were on my Whatnot last night, I've been having like this annoying dry cough, and I had to drink whiskey to stop coughing, like the burn. So I've got a Buc-ee's.
I love Buc-ee's.
So if I disappear, I've got like a little bit of whiskey, and if I'm acting absolutely ridiculous, then you know why. Yeah. Christopher is everywhere. So Yoga Joe sent a $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Here is I'm picking one. Here is your. Dun, 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 dun. So I read a couple of articles, I think it was this week, about postal workers admitting to stealing mail. Not that getting it scanned or not would, help with that, but and our postmaster here was actually fired like a year and a half ago for some funky business. So, but that's not going to matter if you have a receipt or not.
Right.
It's really not going to matter. Miss Catherine said, if there's only one listing of the same item you have and their price is twice as high, is there a way to increase your visibility on your item?
So, I mean, you can always promote it, but I think if there's only 2 items available, it won't be worth, promoting your listing at all. And the other one is twice as much, twice as high. I think I would just leave it sit.
Yeah.
Wait till it sells out. If there's only 2 items, eventually it's going to sell.
Yeah, you could promote it, and then as long as the other person isn't promoting it at a higher rate, your listing would be above theirs in the search. But like Joe said, if there's only 2 items and someone's searching for that item, they're going to see both. They're going to see theirs is half, or twice as much as yours, and they're probably going to buy yours, I would think. For price, but you wouldn't really need to increase the visibility. It's going to be there.
A lot of people search from lowest to highest anyway when they're trying to buy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So even though if they promote theirs, they're going to be one above you, but you're still going to be in the top 2. So I wouldn't worry about it and just let the natural progression happen.
Yeah, and I would ask, if theirs is twice as high, are you shortcutting yourself? And do you know what that item has sold for? Because if it is worth their price, I wouldn't be half their price. And people, if that's the value, people might look at yours like something is wrong with it. If you're half of the value, they might be like, what's wrong with this item that it's so cheap? So I would second guess that price and make sure that that's like, did they just price it ridiculous because they have the only one? I sold a statue this week for $455. I had it listed at $900 because I was the only one. But when I got that $455 offer, I went to WorthPoint, and the highest that had sold was $425. So I priced ridiculously high because I had the only one, but I only paid $20. So I accepted their 50% off offer. So if that's the case, you might want to either increase your price to try and figure it out. I would just make sure you're priced right. That's what I would do. Camille sent a $5 super sticker. I'm gonna give you the original dolphin. Here you go.
Super chat.
Okay. Old things new. How do returns work on Whatnot? I will answer this real fast and say there are none. Returns are not allowed on Whatnot. And I have taken some as a courtesy, but that's all done totally off the platform. Like, I allow them to send it back to me. I send them money through PayPal, but technically on Whatnot, returns are not allowed. So if you look up the return policy for Whatnot, it is that unless it's misrepresented. So like if they tell you it's gold and it's not gold, you have something to stand on. But unless it's grossly misrepresented, then there are no returns on Whatnot. Richard sent a $2 super chat and wants to know, how long has everyone been reselling?
I've been reselling for, I don't know. I started off with selling sneakers, just like Jordan releases and all that have come out every week when I was in high school, and I would take them to a consignment shop. I didn't do too much reselling online until probably 2016, 2017, when that consignment shop that I used to use went out of business, and they called us down to collect all of our inventory out of the store if you had any down there. And I just happened to be talking to somebody, that was also picking up his inventory, to he said he was going to sell on like Craigslist, of course, at the time. That's what, that was probably 2015, 16 or whatever. And then and list on eBay. And then I started off listed on eBay, and I was restricted. I could only list so many pairs of Nikes and all that. But I would say within the last, 4 years, I took it a little bit more serious and actually, got a store and consistently list things I'm not going to say that I list every day, but I try to list every day. So within the last 4 years, I've been taking it more serious.
Yeah, I'm kind of like Joe. I've had an eBay account that I would sell on and buy from since probably 2000, but I didn't get my store until 2015. So along the way there, I would sell things, that I didn't need anymore, use anymore, or somebody gifted me something that I didn't want or whatever, you know what I mean? Or, but then towards the, I'll say 2012, 2013, I started becoming more of like I guess you would call it a part-time, reseller. I didn't have a store, but I would, actively look for things to resell and sell them on eBay. But then in 2015, I got my store. So about, I guess, seven years now.
For me, I grew up pretty much in like a picker family. I'm what I like to say a third generation picker. My grandmother used to work at her local church thrift store, and used to find items from flea markets and yard sales, taking them to the flea market. So I used to go to the flea market as a teenager, 12, 13 years old, sell sports cards and toys and stuff like that. But online, I actually started on eBay in 1999 when you received cash and money orders and checks. We joke about this every week, but yeah, I started selling on eBay in 1999. So.
And I started on eBay in 1999 as well. Off and on, though, I did it for about 2 years in 99, took some breaks, and I've had probably 3 or 4 little runs with it. This one is the longest one. We're at 3.5 years this time. And the other times I just kind of got bored, it fizzled out, so I never really grew it. And it was just like kind of smaller. But this time it obviously is not. So, all right, Richard, I'm going to give Richard the original one, and you can tell me if that is the one you would have chosen. Here you go.
Super chat.
And Mark told me Mary had her 1-year anniversary of membership. So Mary, that is amazing. You guys, the anniversary chats that you guys get for membership, we don't see them in StreamYard. It's a pain in the butt. So if we're not looking at YouTube, we can't see them. So I do want to thank Mark for letting me know, because we cannot see them. Look at Yoga Joe's coming back again. Look at Yoga Joe.
Super sticker.
So Yoga Joe sent a super sticker with a question right after it. So we'll answer the question, and then we will give Yoga Joe a dolphin. It says, sold an item on Posh, wrapped it like crazy. The buyer says it arrived broke. Twice I asked for a photo with no response, received a bad review. Posh is no help. What's the point? Why not ask for a refund?
I don't sell on Poshmark. So I'm not sure.
What would you do if it was on Mercari or eBay?
I mean, if it was on eBay and it arrived broke, I mean, if I shipped it to
and they didn't send you a picture.
So, I mean, I guess eBay would, depending on what your return policy is with eBay, right? I mean, eventually, if it arrives broken or whatever, they make you take that return. But I don't know if they didn't go forward and try to, actually take the steps to return it and just left you a bad review. I mean, I would reach out to eBay in reference to that, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't sell on Posh either, and so I don't know. I mean, if it happened on eBay, I don't even know if they'd make me take the return if there's no photos that it broke. Maybe I guess they would. eBay does returns for whatever, and if eBay wouldn't help me and I got a bad review, like I know people get like flipped out about bad reviews sometimes, and I understand, like, if you're starting out and you want to get that feedback and the higher levels, it's important. I don't even worry. I don't get much bad feedback. Like I got a neutral like not too long ago, and I would handle it the same way. Like this question is, you get a bad review, you're allowed to respond, but just respond like nicely, like, hey, I packed it, real well. I'm sorry this happened. Buyer never sent me any pictures. I do offer free returns or whatever you do, you know what I mean, in your response. Don't attack the buyer like in the response, because that looks bad on you as well. I don't know if you can do that on Posh or not. Otherwise, if Posh isn't any help, sometimes you just got to take the bad review and move on. You know what I mean? Your other 98 or 998 or 9,000 good reviews, people will see that,
All right.
That's my opinion. I don't know.
People will be people, and there's no rhyme or reason sometimes, and you just got to take it on the chin and move on. You did. It sounds like you reached out to them. You asked for a photo twice. Yeah. They didn't respond to you. I mean, at that point in time, there's nothing more you can really do. That person's upset with the transaction. They're going to leave a review regardless of how they feel. A lot of times people will leave emotional responses because they just got the item. They're upset. I would actually, try to reach out to them like maybe a week later. Maybe they're calmed down and maybe they're just having a bad day at that time, and try to see if you can resolve it still. But at that point in time, just move on. And I wouldn't waste any more time on it.
Yeah. So they have no way to send you a picture on Poshmark unless they open a return. And if they open a return, they would have to submit photos to Poshmark to prove it was broken. Right. And then Poshmark would approve that. But it sounds like you're more frustrated with the feedback. I would say let it go. Right. It's a really hard thing to learn, and it can be really frustrating, but like if they didn't open return with Poshmark, I would ignore it. Honestly, I never even look at my reviews on Poshmark. I don't look at sellers' reviews on Poshmark because it's not like eBay where there's like a number that's so easy to just click. So I would just ignore it. Let me give you your dolphin before I forget. Here you are. Thank you, Joe. Dun, 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 dun.
Block people on Poshmark?
You can block people on Poshmark.
Yeah, Joe. Block them and then yell over there at the wall and then move on.
Listen, I blocked these dang pants. If I don't sell these pants soon, I'm going to give them away. I have some diesel leather pants. No item in my store in 3 years has given me the amount of trouble as these friggin' leather pants. So I'm getting all these low offers on Poshmark. And I'm like, stop. Like, I'll decline it. Then I'll counter it like $1 less. Finally, after like 10 offers, I blocked one buyer, and here comes another one. I'm like, are you serious? These friggin' pants. And now on eBay, there are 6 pictures of these leather pants, 6 pictures. And this buyer's like, can you please submit some more photos? I'm like, I'm going to burn these friggin' pants. That's what I'm going to do. I'm like, I'll do it when I have the time. And they're like, well, I'm like, there is a front, a back, a close up of the pockets, a picture of the tag. What do you want? So I'm like, these pants, like all you clothing sellers, more power to you. That's all I got to say. Because me and these leather pants are about done. Belinda wants to know if any of us have any thoughts on milk glass or anything in particular to look for.
I don't know too much about milk glass. I did sell a few milk glass mugs. I'm trying to think. They were like Flintstone milk glass mugs or something like that. And I picked them up after, just looking them up. I didn't know anything about milk glass in particular. So.
I think I've maybe sold one milk glass item in my time. So I'm not very helpful here. Make sure it's not cracked or chipped or, messed up.
Yeah, I've only sold a couple pieces of milk glass in the past. I will say the best piece of milk glass I sold was a pinkish milk glass. It was actually a cake dish. It was from the 60s. It was vintage, and it actually brought some really good money. But anything off the wall or anything different with milk glass, I'd say keep an eye out for.
Yeah, and I honestly ignore milk glass because most of it's a dime a dozen. With slag glass, if you have slag glass, kind of the swirl that's a different story. But I got surprised by like 2 pieces of milk glass, and they were larger, like serving pieces, and they looked really mid-century modern. They sold for like $100. And that was just because they came in another lot. I probably would not have bought them individually. One of my best friends from high school, though, her dad sells milk glass, and he actually picks up like cheap vases, and he'll wait until he gets like 10 or 20, and he sells them as a wedding lot. So for people to put them on the tables at weddings. So if you could find like the tall milk glass vases and save them up and lot them up, he's had really good luck selling them as like a wedding decor type. Miss Rose wants to know, what are your recommendations for selling watches, and do you think it's possible to sell them untested?
Yeah, I sell watches occasionally, depending on the price point. Is where, if they're worth a lot of money, if they're running, I'll get the batteries replaced. But if it's just, a 20-25 hour watch or something like that, I usually just leave it, untested or needs battery or something like that. But if it's a higher end watch, I will take the time to get it replaced. And, I could take it to a jeweler not far from here, and he charges me like $10 to do it. It's worth it.
Right. I would agree with Joe. If it's a higher dollar watch, you might want to get the battery in it and test it, make sure it all works. I've had good luck selling lots. Like, you can take some, I won't say like cheap, just less expensive watches and lot them up in a lot. And, even try running them on auction. And if you didn't test them, they don't have batteries, just say untested, no batteries, in any of them. I'd say look out for some of those old like digital watches, like some of those digital watches from like the 80s. You'd be surprised if you look them up, look up some of the sold comps on there. They sell pretty well.
Yeah, I agree with Joe. I mean, if it's higher end, take it to get a battery changed and swap it out. But I say if they're lower, cheaper end, watches are really good at putting junk lots. So if you ever get a combined of just have a bunch of stuff laying around, a little small knickknacks and small little pieces, watches are always really good in junk lots. Start at an auction, let it run.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've sold some. I typically now don't really pick them up unless they sell for 50 or higher, and I will bring them to my local jeweler, and I think their price is 15 for a battery, but if I bring them 10, like if I find a good, higher end lot of watches, I can bring them more than 10 and they'll replace the batteries for 10. But I actually have a $500 pocket watch right now listed, not running, not tested, because it's the only one. It's a vintage Harley Davidson from the 50s. And untested, not working, has sold for that high before I saw on WorthPoint. And a pocket watch like that old would probably cost me a pretty penny to get it looked at and kind of inspected. So I'm just selling that one as is. So even some of the higher end, if they're older, people will buy them if you put untested. So it is possible, but I wouldn't do it. I would be more likely to sell a higher end untested than a lower end. But if it's a simple battery, I would replace it, if that makes sense. But there are some like really complicated watches that are going to cost you, a couple $100 at the jeweler to get them, inspected and like whatever it's called. I can't even think of it. Katie's asking prices for used health and beauty. I will just interrupt and say you should not be selling used health and beauty products. It's against policy almost everywhere. eBay, you used to be able to sell used perfumes. They have kind of squashed that, and they've gotten pretty strict about it, even in the collectibles category. So I would say used health and beauty should be thrown away for sanitary reasons, and you're not allowed, and you could lose your account. So keep that in mind. Posher VA, Susan's asking about. So I saw Rachel in the chat, Lily Work. She was on with us last week, and she uses Posher VA. Do any of us use Posher VA?
No.
So I use One Shop, which is similar to Posher VA. That's what I use, but I think Rachel's still in the chat. So Susan, if you're in here, Rachel is Lily Works, and she's on Instagram too. So if you have questions about Posher VA, I would ask her. She should be able to help you. Miss Ann says, I'm getting ready to start selling on eBay. I have the inventory, but want to know if it's better to start with a couple of items or list a bunch at once.
Well, I think if you're just starting out, eBay might restrict you to only listing so many at a time. So I would list that amount, sell some items, and then I think with a phone call to eBay or reaching out to them on what's that, eBay Facebook page or something.
Yeah, eBay for business or whatever.
eBay for business will they allow you to, once they see that you sold some items, you shipped them out on time and things like that, they let you list more and more as you go on. So
yeah, I agree with Joe. I would say, you know what, if you have the inventory, why not, maybe just try setting up a routine for yourself. Like how many can you list, with whatever else you got going on during the day, right? You have a lot of inventory. eBay's going to restrict you to, I think, like 200 listings, or maybe it's 250 listings.
Some people get 5, Mike.
Oh,
some people
okay.
get 5.
Some
get 5, some get 10, and the lucky ones get 250.
I think it also depends on the brand of things, because when I started out selling, I was selling Nike and Reebok sneakers or whatever, and they limited. I think I had 7, and then I had a call after I sold a couple. I was late to go to 10. They really, with name brand items like that, I think they restrict you a little bit more.
I did hear if you wait in line at the post office and get a receipt, you can get more listings on eBay when you start out. Yeah. Try to set a good routine for yourself, and because if you're going to continue to sell on eBay, you want to have a good routine, and maybe don't list 200 in a day or whatever, 250 or however many it is, because you're going to sell them, and then you're going to need to work on packing and shipping, and going to the post office, getting that receipt. So it's going to be a lot when you're first starting out.
Yeah.
So if this is a brand new account and you have never bought or sold anything, before you even list anything, I highly recommend going to buy like 10 items on eBay for $1 or $2 to get that positive feedback. Because a lot of people won't buy from sellers with 0 feedback just because they're afraid to scam account or something like that. Also, too, if it's a brand new account, a lot of scammers will target higher end items on a brand new account. So you might want to just start out selling lower end items, but something that's going to sell fast and move. So that way you can get that feedback and start building up your account. Because like Kat said, a lot of accounts are restricted from 5 or 10. I know someone who, when they started out, they were only allowed to sell 10 items, and 2, they were able to actually ship out those items. Items were received before they were even released those funds, or even allow them to list anything else on eBay at the time. So just take a look at what your restrictions are, and make sure you get some positive feedback on your account, because it's going to help you, just starting out.
Yeah, and I agree. Like, I think Mike said it perfect. Like, set yourself a goal, like whether it's 5 a day or 10 a day. If your limit's 10, obviously that's not going to work. If it's 250 though, 5 a day would probably be good. If it's 10, then here it comes when I can't hide. If it's 10, you want to list the items that are going to sell really fast first. So you're going to want to list the items that have more sold than listed. So you get that history fast, and then you go to eBay for Business and ask for that increase in your listings. Let's see. Mile High Mom says, how would you describe your reselling style? Do you prioritize sell-through rate? Are you long tail, high dollar items, bread and butter, or all of the above?
I would say I'm a little bit of all the above. Like I said, I'm part-time, so I don't have a problem with something sitting a little bit longer, for a long tail item. Although I am running out of some space now for doing that, but I'm a little bit of all the above. I try to find the bread and butter items. I like trying to find something that sells a little bit higher, your higher end items. And I don't mind paying up for those items either. A nice pair of Jordans or something that I can, pay $50, $60 for and sell them for $200 or $300. I try to look out for that too. So I'm a little bit all over the place, but I do check in the beginning. That's one thing I want to point out. In the beginning, I didn't always check, or I wasn't always following the sell-through rate real good. So I have a lot of bad buys when I first started, where I would buy some items that I shouldn't have bought because the sell-through rate wasn't there. So keep an eye on that. Always, pay attention to that. I think that's important.
Yeah, I'll agree with Joe. I think I'm very similar. I think, maybe a lot of us sellers go through, maybe like a change or different phases of our reselling. I can remember like when I first started, I didn't mind being a long tail seller, and now I'm more of I'd like to turn it over quicker, type of seller. But I still have items that I know will take a little longer to sell. I don't have many high dollar items, but that's one of my goals for 2023 is to increase my average sale price of the items I do sell, just to keep that number up. And usually that's not a bread and butter item, but I know what sells for me. So I do try to pick those items up too. Also, even if they're not going to be a higher dollar item, if that makes sense. Like if I know I can sell, like I saw a lot of I know you might laugh, like remote controls or like things like that. They're not huge sales, but for me, I know I sell them like all the time. Like I sold 3 today. It's not huge money, but it always sells. And, but it's not a high dollar item. So I think we go through phases. I'm a little of all the above.
Yeah, I would say I'm a hybrid as well. I pretty much all those things I do focus on. But for me, the main thing for me is, stuff that does have a high sell-through rate. Just like you said, you want to make sure that you'll take 60 cents on a dollar because you want to, turn over items. But I like to sell I prefer to sell items that I enjoy. I like pop culture. I like toys. I like video games. I like comic books, sports cards. I will sell anything that can make me money, but I find it more enjoyable to selling items that I enjoy because it doesn't feel like work, because it takes me back to my childhood. So that's one thing I do like to focus on. So when I am buying, I do look for items that I enjoy to sell. Those items are also, though, can bring high dollars, and they also have a fast sell-through rate. So that's also where, so there's a lot of crossover in those categories. But the biggest thing is, even if I don't sell a lot of high dollar items, I make sure that I list the same amount I would for high dollar items. So that way I can, that's my biggest factor. I say with my business, I try to list at least 500 a day. My goal is to try to hit 1,000, but my minimum is 500 a day. I need a list. So if that's listing 2 items or listing, 20 items, I want to make sure I hit that threshold. So that's probably the most important thing with my business as a reseller.
Yeah, and I am kind of a mix. I think anybody that watches me know, but I'm with Rod. I like selling stuff I like. So I'm okay getting some stuff I really like that's longer tail because it can sit on my shelf and I'll look at it. I started last year really targeting more higher dollar items, and that will continue this year. And that's one of the reasons I got an assistant to actually give me more time to source and find those higher dollar items. That's going to be what I'll be concentrating on. But I am trying to make myself stop if they're like absolutely horrible. I don't care if I like them. I need to learn some stuff. I need to learn to leave on the shelf. And a lot of that's like breakables that are only selling for $15. And actually my video that'll come out Thursday, you'll see what we sold today. And I'm like, I shouldn't have got this. I think I said it probably 4 or 5 times today because it was like $15 sales that were breakable. They were fragile. And I'm like, it's not worth it. But we'll be pushing those higher dollar. However, in my business model with having employees, I like the lots because they can get a lot listed and it's easier and more routine if it's the same type of items, like listing the Harley pin or listing license plates, where it's 500 or 1,000 of one item. They get a routine down. They can list faster. I can price faster if I'm, researching them over and over. Some I'm like, okay, I know that year just went for this. And I like my hankies. I can list them without looking them up. So, I am all of the above, but that changes too. I think you got to find what works for you. And I think it can change, you can, and if you don't have a lot of spots and room to put the stuff, then you need to prioritize sell-through rate, whether you like it or not, because otherwise you're going to run out of room and not have space for your stuff. Donna wants to know, is there any benefit in same-day handling over one-day handling? We're already top rated with listings as one day. We ship the same day. Do you think they should switch their shipping to same day?
I mean, I have 2-day handling on mine, and it's only because, like I said, I'm part-time. I have a full-time job. I coach basketball. So there are some days where I can't ship, same day or even next day, depending on, the work schedule and things like that. So I did try 1-day handling, last year sometime, and I didn't see a big change in my, sales just by doing that. So I ended up just going back to 2-day handling time. Same day, I could probably never do that. So I don't know. Maybe some people do. I know with Amazon getting it next day, I know a lot of people want their items, fairly quickly, but I didn't see a big change from when I changed from 2-day to 1-day handling. So.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any benefit in same day handling over 1-day, because I used to be 2-day for a long time, and I switched to 1-day for whatever the benefits you get. Like if you offer 1-day handling and free returns, you're top rated plus or whatever they used to have, and they took it away or whatever. So if there's a benefit the same day, I don't know. I do ship every day except for Sunday, but I don't think I would switch to same day handling, even though I ship every day, just in case I couldn't get the item out for some, my luck, I'd sell something big, whatever large thing that I didn't have ready to go, and it would take me too long and I wouldn't be able to get it out the same day. You know what I mean? So for me, I wouldn't switch to same day unless there's some really crazy benefit out there that I don't know about.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the difference between the two. I mean, for the benefit for that, because if someone buys something same day and an item gets sold at 4:30, like you're not going to be able to get to the post office and ship that out in time. So I thought same day and 1-day were actually the same thing.
You have to choose a cutoff time. So you could say, if you bought this item by 10 a.m., then we'll ship it the same day. Gotcha. So you pick that cutoff time, but I don't think there's a benefit on doing same day. We did it for a while and I didn't see a difference, but we do ship 1-day because we pull up to the point we pack. So if we pack, like today we were packing at noon. So anything that sold today up till noon was shipped today. Right. So we ship same day, but I'm not going to guarantee that because, like they said, if something comes up, 1 day is already a bit much of pressure. And there are no added benefits at all. I don't know if any of the guys can answer, and I don't know if I can answer this, to be honest. Rose wants to know if you guys have any tips on how to tell a quilt is expensive.
There's sometimes you can just feel the quality of the material that they use. Like I said, an Amish quilt. If you've seen an Amish quilt before and you've know what they feel like, you can pretty much tell what that it was handmade, things like that. Other than that, I sell some San Marco blankets and things like that. I try to look for, but that's kind of like the only brands that I really know.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like I said earlier, I try to buy quilts out here, Amish quilts at least, in Central PA, and they're all expensive because I can't ever buy one because everyone either buys them before I do or at an auction they go for crazy money. So sorry, I don't know, Rose.
Yeah, I'm not going to be much help on this one. The only expensive quilts I've ever sold, they just had that good quality. So you can tell by the way you touch them and felt them. Yeah. So just like when you're buying, if you go to the thrift store and you're looking at clothes, like you can just pick out a piece of clothing and tell it's a high quality piece of clothing. But other than that, I won't be able to help you much on that one.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like Joe where I can see and feel a lot of the quality. And sometimes you can look up patterns, and certain patterns are attributed to certain timelines. Like if you use Google Lens, you can tell hand stitching compared to machine. If you look at a quilt and look up quotes, hand stitching is not going to be exact. You're going to be able to tell the difference. It is very rare to be able to find quilts cheap. Quilts, even online auctions, anywhere, quilts don't Like, they don't go cheap. And I mean, with good reason. People put 20, 30, 40 hours into a quilt. So
Right.
honestly, getting them for $100 is really cheap. I know my mom sells her quilts for like 600 to 800 to give you guys an idea. And I mean, I think that's cheap. So I think it's hard to find them. I am going to put this one up, but I'm going to again preface and Rod, look, I called him Rob now. Richard, what did you do? It's the whiskey. Rod said it earlier. Yeah, Rob. Oh my gosh. Rod said it earlier. We are not accountants, and there are a lot of tax questions coming up right now. And we cannot advise you because we are not accountants. My reseller Jeannie's great. I will probably have a link out for Mark II, Not Your Dad's CPA. His course is expensive and it is worth it. It is $350. I think he'll be running a sale next week, so I'll probably put a link out then. But he teaches you everything, like from LLC, when do I file an S corp? Do I do cash method? Do I do inventory method? So only an accountant can tell you what you need to give them, I guess is what I'm saying. And I'm going to go down here because there are more. Resell to ride. Do you keep a schedule for completing daily reselling tasks or just go with the flow? And if so, did or do you notice an increase in sales and productivity?
Yeah, I pretty much go with the flow. I wish I did have a more scheduled, format to my day. But being part-time, like I said, that always doesn't work out for me. So I kind of go with the flow, but I do see when I list more, I definitely sell more. I mean, that's just, I'm sure you heard it hundreds of times when you talk to resellers or whatever, but I do see some, productivity in my increase in sales when I do list more. Like I haven't listed in a few days and my sales show it now, so, I wish I did have a routine. I don't have a routine that I do every day, but 2023, I'm going to work on it.
I don't have a schedule for completing the daily tasks. I mean, at this point, I kind of know what I need to do, but some days it changes. Some days, like I always have the same goals for listing on eBay and cross posting onto the other sites that I list to. I have it in my head what I need to do. But then, some days you have a lot of things to clean that you need to clean to list the next day, right? Or like I sell bigger items like locally on Facebook Marketplace. So if I don't get all my cross posting done, but I posted, 5 to Facebook Marketplace, then that works for me. You know what I mean? And then something else comes up. I don't know if I always see an increase in sales. Definitely productivity if you stick to the schedule. I will tell you, I'll see a decrease in sales if I don't do it that way. If I don't do, the minimum that I have in my, listing on eBay and cross posting, I can see it go, sales take a hit if you're not listing at least consistently every day. For me, I see it.
So it was a game changer for me by changing up and setting some tasks to do each day. Kind of like Joe, I do go with the flow with things, but I have certain things that I have to do each and every day, and I make it a priority. Like, for example, first thing I do every morning is I pack up all my items to ship out, because if I don't ship out my items, I'll get negative feedback, and that's going to ruin my store. So that's the number one priority that I do every day. I will say, another thing that really helped me is batching my pictures. So, I would literally take 40, 50 items because I list from my phone, and I will literally just put all my items up and just go right down the line, just take photos of them, and then I have a little stack of stuff that I need to list. That really does help me, because just like getting the flow of listing, the Cat talked about listing the same items over and over again, you get the same flow with pictures as well. So that definitely was a big game changer for me, because having all those pictures on my phone, if I have to go to the store, I have to wait in line for something, I'm picking the kids up or something like that, I can list from my phone at any point in time. So having those pictures on there definitely helped me out. Setting a task each day, what I have to minimally have to list each day. So my goal for each day is at least 20 items, minimum $500. So that's my goal every day. So if I sometimes I won't hit my listing goal, but I have to hit my $500 minimum per day. Now, a lot of times I go over that and stuff like that, but My goal is to, hit that per day, because if I'm not listing that much, I'm not going to have that anywhere near those amount in sales I want to do. And I would say the biggest thing I changed last year in my business is at the end of the day, I actually reset my day. And what I mean by that is I cleaned up my photo booth. I cleaned up my station, put away, a lot of times I'll list items and put them in piles, and then I forget to put them right in the proper bins. So at the end of the day, I reset. I put all my items back in the proper bins I need to go. I, clean up my listing station, clean up my photo station, and then I actually bring out a stack of items that I want to tomorrow to take photos of. So I might bring out 10 or 20 items already. So that way, when I walk in there to take photos, I know exactly, okay, photos, my items are already there to do that. So just prepping for the next day is a big game changer for me and definitely helps out a lot.
Yeah, so I, for a long time, have not really kept a schedule. I kind of had my own ways that I did things, and I have had to change that with bringing on an assistant, because I can't expect my assistant to just do whatever she wants whenever she wants. So I have had to turn into discipline and say, okay, I have to teach her this gets done first. So for us, what we do is we answer all the eBay questions. If they ask for a size, unless it is black leather pants, we ignore those. We answer the questions. Listen, I'm so over those friggin' pants. And Mark said, put them on. Mark, I don't think one of my legs would fit in them. They're pretty small leather pants. So I can't, maybe Dalton could model. They're very small leather pants. So we answer the questions. We send offers is how I have trained her to do it. Send offers in the morning. That's the first thing she does and the last thing she does. So first thing in the morning, and when she's leaving at 4:30, she sends offers. And then we ship. We pull, pack, and ship. You have to do that every day. And I was really bad. I would wait until 2 or 3. When it was just me, I'm getting the post office at 4:55. I knew when I could start. But for her, after she answers questions, sends offers, she pulls, packs, and ships. So shipping is typically done before 11 a.m. And then she goes to listing for the rest of the day. Today was hectic, and we got nothing done but pulling, packing, shipping, answering questions, and offers. That is it. 0 listing got done today. Because but with Whatnot, we probably shipped over $3,500 out today. So that's okay, but tomorrow we'll get back on and double the listing. And since I have been in here training her, my sales were almost non-existent, and we did $4,000 the last week. So do you see an increase in sales and productivity? Absolutely. Since we have had it organized and do exactly the same thing every day, it is 110% better. And here is your dolphin. Thank you very much. Dun, 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 dun. Rose and $2 super sticker. Here is your dolphin. Thank you so much. Dun, 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 dun. All right. I wanted to click on these other couple of tax questions because it's the tax questions, A, are more for an accountant. B, they're really individualized, and your situation is going to be different than ours. So the other one was Miss Janet saying her friend counts money spent on items, whether they sell or not. So I can tell you that method of accounting is the cash method. That is the method that I use. So I do money in, how many sales, money out, how much did I buy? But you have to do one way or the other, either cash or accrual. Accrual is keeping track of your inventory, and you cannot switch back and forth. I think you get 1 or 2 switches in the lifetime of your business. So you really need to talk to an accountant and figure out the way. And then you said the rest of your question is a lot of items you've had for 10 to 15 years. So the general rule, and again, you need to ask an accountant, but my understanding is if you bought that item for personal use, you've had it 10 to 15 years, the value is now 0 because you bought it and you've gotten use out of it for 10 to 15 years. but you would need to ask an accountant to be 100% sure. So I think if you had it a long time, they say you bought it for you, you've used it. However, you could go sell it to somebody else, but that's income coming in, but you don't have that expense because that expense was 10 or 15 years ago. I'm not 100%. So, but I just wanted to see. So Janet, and again, we're not accountants. I'm going to say that like 50 times. Said if you had it for many years, estimate what you think you paid. I think that is wrong, and I think you could get in trouble. That is what I will say. And if your tax person, I hope is an accountant, not like a H&R Block or what are they called? Like a franchise tax place is what I'm wanting to say. I would ask an actual accountant. And because if they're not, you're not insured. So like my accountant's insured. If I get audited, he has protection. I am protected. So if he tells me that and I am not covered, then I have that umbrella of his insurance. If your tax person H&R Block might give you some protection, but I'm not 100%. So I would be very, very careful with that, depending on who your tax person is, if they're not an accountant. Does that make sense? Does anybody have anything to add to that? I know I'm kind of on a soapbox, but it's that time of year.
Get an accountant is what we all say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It will pay for itself 10 times over.
It really does. It really does.
That's tax deductible also.
I will tell you, when I got my first corporate job, I did TurboTax before because I worked in a restaurant. This is many, many years ago. And I think I was getting like $1,000 return. I went to the accountant and they got me a $2,900 return. So it paid for itself. So I highly recommend that you guys get an accountant. It's well worth it. You get a real estate agent when you're selling a house, you don't do it yourself. Well, most people don't, but there's a reason for that. You get someone who's an expert in that category because they're going to find things that you don't know about.
Yeah. All right. Miss Constant wants to know, what can viewers do to help us as YouTubers get more income for your videos? So do you feel like watching the commercials all the way through, clicking on a like? What do you feel like your viewers can do to help you make more income?
I think maybe I don't make much, if any, on YouTube. My channel's really small, but watching it all the way through always helps. Hitting a like button, you hear everybody saying it, leaving a comment. I think that helps push it out a little bit, and that will get you to more views. So doing those type of things should help.
Yeah, I have my main channel. I'm not monetized, so nothing you can do will help me there. Or you can come to my other channel, my auction channel, and buy something from one of my auctions. That would help. But I think Joe's right. I think if you watch the commercials, leave a like and comment on the videos, I think that helps.
Yeah, just like they said. I mean, like, subscribe, share, comment on every video. Anytime I watch anyone's video on YouTube, I make sure I comment on there to try to help out the algorithm. Wherever I can do, YouTube likes interaction. Mm-hmm. So they like when people are, communicating with each other, talking back and forth. They like that. So it does help the algorithm. But I mean, everyone here in the chat, everyone here on the panel is still trying to figure out YouTube. It changes all the time. And, sometimes you get lucky and the video just takes off. And sometimes you think you have a great video and it's the worst video on your thing. Like there's no rhyme or reason. Everyone laughs because we have all gone through it. One of the best videos I thought I put out is probably the lowest liked video on my, the lowest watched video on my channel. You just never know. So.
Yeah. So, I think everything they said, I don't care if you watch the commercials all the way through because I'm the first one to skip a commercial. I will not hate you if you skip a commercial. But liking, commenting, and I think the biggest thing, sharing, and I always forget to say that, like share it to your friends or to if you're allowed to share it to a group if you think they will enjoy it or they like flipping. I think sharing it would get our content to more people because we make money by the 1,000 views. So it's not, each individual adds up to that big, but it's paid by the 1,000 views. And like Christy is asking, I'm going to put it up since it has to do with the same thing. Do you still get paid when they have a YouTube subscription and they don't see the videos? I'm going to assume you mean when they have YouTube Premium and don't see commercials. That is me. So I do not see, I am not like I said, I hit skip if I have to see it. But I have YouTube Premium, and we actually get a % of your YouTube Premium. So if your YouTube Premium is $10 a month and you watch 5 channels, they would divide, half, or actually probably 30% of that. So your $3 would get divided up that month between 5 YouTubers. It really, each individual person isn't a lot, but it all collectively adds up. And I think sharing, where kind of the momentum and YouTube sees, oh, somebody liked this, they sent it to their friends, is probably the most helpful. And it's the one I always forget to ask people to do. I never remember. I say like and comment, but I forget to say share it. So I'm trying to say that a little more. And I saw people in the chat answering Joseph, but I figure we can answer first. Joe can probably take this. I don't think all of us need to. Joseph says, if you sell something new, sealed, and packaged, and it gets returned open and no longer sellable as new, well, I guess we can, because it's kind of opinion. So if this happens to you, do you give a full refund or do you give a partial?
If they just returned it, for whatever, I give
and
a
it's open though, it was sealed and it's not sealed anymore.
Partial refund. And I've even taken it a step further where I've contacted eBay. I actually sold a pair of boots that somebody gave as a Christmas present. Now they were used, but they must have wrapped it. They must have wrapped it in glitter wrapping paper. She texted me. She said, these don't fit my husband, and I want to return them. Okay, fine, return them. When I got them back, it was almost like a glitter bomb went off in the box. I spent an hour trying to get the glitter off of it. I finally reached out to eBay, took pictures, reached out to eBay, and eBay ended up refunding me the total amount, not just the partial refund that I would have gave them. So there are some, now I've sold DVDs where people rented them from me for, new sealed for 2 weeks, and I received them back, opened. They only get a partial refund.
Right. Yeah. Partial refund if they open something that's new sealed.
Partial refund, but there is an exception to this. And if you're selling, this happened to me a couple of years ago, I sold a high-end video game system that was sealed, and I put in the description, this is a collector's item sealed in the box. This is meant for display or meant to be, for a collector's item. Someone opened it and then tried to return it, and eBay sided on my side because of how I put it in my description. Now, not sure if that would change nowadays, but that was, about 5-6 years ago that happened. And eBay did side on me, and I didn't have to accept the return on that item because of how I listed it as a brand new collector's item. So there's a ways around that sometimes, depending on what kind of items you're selling. But yeah, same thing. I would give a partial refund because they already opened the item. Yeah. Unless the item's faulty, then you may have to just eat and do a full refund.
Yeah, so you can take 50%. I would take 50% in this situation. But like Joe said, if it's not sellable, like his stuff with glitter all over it, you can appeal to eBay. And part of seller protection is eBay would give you the other 50% back. So you get 100% of your money back. So I would do 50%. If I could still sell it, then I would be fine with that. But if it was ruined, then I would appeal to eBay to get that. But I've never had that happen. Mary Garcia, I'm getting commission off of her sales now. Woo! Thank you, Mary. Here is a dolphin for you and Abby. I'm going to give you the dancing one. Dun, 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 dun. Scott is now charging. If you say, Cha-ching King, is this, hold on, hold up. Hold on. I do wardrobe changes in the shed, guys. Whoa. Look what I could put it on real quick. I could hide. How much does this cost, Scott, for this advertising? Yeah. This is one so one of my videos coming up this week or next will be in that because I recorded my videos yesterday. That's why it's out here. So Scott, I appreciate you. Dan wants to know, Joe, have you tried Poshmark?
I have a Poshmark account. I listed a few things on there. I've never shared my items. I never sold anything on there. So I tried it. If that's considered trying.
Yeah, you tried it.
Dan would like to buy the glitter boots from you.
Well, wait a second. Depends on the size here.
This might be weird. I do know his shoe size.
Right, me too.
I don't know how many.
Might
Dan is a women's size 10, and these are a men's size 10. So,
they're too big.
Yeah,
they are too big for Dan.
All right. Miss Val wants to know, is there ever a time when you feel like you should refund the shipping on a return other than seller error?
Huh.
I don't think so. I've made, seller errors and I've refunded them the shipping, but I can't think of any other reason.
Yeah, I don't know if I can think of another reason either, other than seller error. Like, yeah, I mean, if you want to be nice, if you want to be a nice person.
Yeah.
So the only reason you probably would be if the post office damaged the item in shipping. So I literally just sent like a $30 video game by first class. The post office threw it on their front door and it rained and the whole thing was soaking wet. They sent me pictures of it. The package, everything was soaking wet. So you are, as a seller, you're responsible until the item, even the item arrives damaged, you're still responsible. So at that point in time, I issued a full refund for the shipping and for that and just had to eat it.
Yeah. So other than what Rod said, no, I wouldn't. Other than seller error, I'm not returning their shipping.
Not to be nice, Kat?
No.
Okay.
I'm not nice.
All right.
It's
I
business. I'm like, it's business. I am not their friend. I am paying my bills. I'm not trying to help them pay theirs. I want to pay mine. I got mouths to feed too. Mary Garcia. So Joe is our Poshmark expert on the panel tonight. Mary said she just started cross-posting to all platforms and only crickets on Poshmark. I'll answer because I think I'm the one that sells on Posh the most. I use One Shop. It is pretty expensive, but it shares. I would not share myself, but the biggest thing that One Shop does that gets me sales that you could do yourself is it sends offers to every single person who likes my item. It sends it automatically. I send offers of 10% off to likers. So I would start sending offers to every person who likes your items of 10 to 15%. And we had like $200 in Poshmark sales last week, and we had a lot. So Posh has picked up for us. I would say sending offers is probably the biggest thing. Does anybody know how to put coupons on eBay? I personally do not use them. And she's asking if you have to have an eBay store.
I believe you have to have an eBay store. I don't use too many coupons.
Yeah, there's this setting under, I think it's under the marketing or maybe the advertising. Maybe I could find it in a minute and tell you. But yeah, you have to have a store, I believe. It's not hard once you get into it. You can mess around with it. There's different settings and different ways you can do it.
Yeah, why does everybody know Dan's shoe size? That's what I would like to know. Larry even knows Dan's shoe size. Like what is going on here? Mark, so I want to say my One Shop I think is like $29 a week. Mine's more, and they go by like how much sales you have. So mine was only $8 a week, and then when my sales increase, they increase the price of it. So I think it can be a little bit more. Amy wants to know if any of us have sold on Depop.
Oh, Dan sells on Bebop all the time.
Bebop.
I've never sold anything on Bebop.
No, I've never sold anything on or Treetop. Me neither.
No, I've been on, but I've never sold anything on there. So
I think I sold one hat and then they kicked me off and I don't even know what I did. I went to sign in and they're like, your account is no longer valid. I'm like, oh, okay. But I don't get that many things that would really sell on Depop, Tree Bop, Bebop, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't. Okay. You know, okay, we already answered that one. Rating Retro North Carolina says, I found thrift store pricing changes at times depending on if the staff changes or if they have new policies. How often do you check back on stores that you stopped going to due to high prices? This is a good question that I don't think we've ever been asked.
My Goodwill, probably about a year ago, went through like a whole change. The staff was entirely moved out, new staff brought in, and the store manager raised all the prices. I didn't check back as often, but I probably went once a week or so, just to see if anything did change. And eventually they did change because everybody in the area was used to the lower prices. The clothing sections were so full that you couldn't even sort through the clothes anymore. They had just so much inventory in there, and they had to change the prices because, I mean, they went from like jeans being $6.99 to $12.99, and literally even on half off day, they still sat around. So eventually they made the change. I would say about 3 months, where they brought all the prices back down to reality and what people were used to paying. But I did continuously check back only when I was in the area, which ended up being like once a week. But I wouldn't give up on those stores. Always keep checking back because they will change eventually when the inventory just sits there for a longer period of time.
Right. I agree with Joe. You can't write it off totally. I mean, I live in an area that has surprisingly a good amount of thrift stores for where I live. So I have a lot of options. So if one is really high priced or too high priced, I won't go there very often, but I will go back and check because you never know. They miss stuff as well, sometimes in different, different categories and stuff. Maybe always the video games are high, but I don't know, the shoes are not that high or whatever. And then they get a pair that's, they missed or whatever. So I think it's still good to go back and check. I do it, but not that often. Maybe I'll go once a month if I'm in the area by that store that's the high price, but it wouldn't be that often. Unless prices started coming back down, then I would go more often.
Yeah, I used to go thrifting almost every day just because when I was working my day job, it was literally right down the road from my house, and I would have a lunch break. I would go on my lunch break every single day. They started raising prices, so I did switch over and start going maybe once a week instead. But one thing I would say is, like Joe said, you say the inventory started piling up, and then when they started doing more sales.
Mm-hmm,
I was starting to get a lot of those items for half off and discounts. But also, too, one thing I did find is that when they were, raising the price and a lot of stuff, even the higher end stuff that was coming in was just those high price. It was the same prices as the lower end stuff. So I was still finding items. You just had to be more selective with my process, and and the same thing, and you never know who's pricing. So one thing I do realize that a lot of thrift stores have a high turnover rate with employees, and same thing with pawn shops as well. So if I run the same issue of pawn shops. I used to go to a lot of pawn shops to buy electronics and video games. And one thing I used to find is you get a new manager come in, they price all the prices high, but then usually, 2 or 3 months later, there's a big turnover there with employees and you start seeing some prices drop and stuff. So I still go back. You just have to see what works best with your schedule and your time. Time is money. So, yep.
Yeah, so I have one that's in my little town. It's not even 10 minutes away. They kept increasing their prices, and I stopped going. And I went like 6 months after, and it was the same. And I wanted to put up, because Mark said everyone misses something sometimes, which is true. There probably is almost always like at least 1 or 2 things, even in the high price thrift stores, that they miss. But like with mine, do I want to spend an hour finding that 1 or 2 things, or do I want to go to a thrift store that has good prices? I would rather drive an hour and go to a thrift store that has clothing for $1 and, kind of medium prices versus going 10 minutes from home looking for an hour, and I might find 1 or 2 things. So I went 6 months out, and other than that, and they're close, they're 10 minutes away, but they have hired like a purse person, and they won't even, like, if it's new, they won't put it out on the floor until their purse specialty person looks at the purses. And like clothing, it's all really high. Do they miss some stuff? Yeah, like linens and things like that I could find that they don't know, but it's so hit or miss. I would rather go somewhere with decent pricing and be able to find more. That's just me. And listen, Patty said the whiskey's flowing. I've had 2 little sips. I'm cracking up at like all the comments in the chat, the bebop, shebop. So I'm having fun, and the comments are cracking me up tonight in the chat. So it's more comments than it is whiskey. I will tell you that.
Speaking about comments,
look, Dan has a website called Only Feet that you can check Dan out on.
It's a small website.
Small. Rating Retro, North Carolina. If you were going to add a platform, what would it be? It is not the whiskey. It's these guys. It's their fault.
For sure.
I would go to Macari again. Like I said, I didn't mind Macari other than the headaches of printing out a shipping label, and using a different printer and stuff like that. And I think there's certain things that sell better on Macari. Like Mike sells a lot of action figures and even pieces of action figures and parts to action figures. He does really well on there. So I think Macari would probably be, if I added one back to that.
Oh, I don't know if there was if I was going to add a I sell on Macari. I sell on eBay. I sell on Facebook. I have items on Poshmark, but I guess if I was going to add a platform more seriously, I would get some kind of VA to help me on Poshmark. But that's the reason why I don't sell on Poshmark, because I don't share out and, whatever, buy the, multi-tier marketing thing that they have going on over there, whatever's happening with the parties and the sharing and all the stuff that's going on. So I'll say Poshmark.
So I like to go where the money's at. eBay is the second biggest platform out there, which does about $12 billion in sales a year. Amazon they did, I think, 500 billion, if I'm not mistaken. So I would go directly to Amazon and focus as being an FBA seller and get ungated in as many categories as possible, because that is where you're going to have the biggest influx of customers and money being thrown out next to eBay.
Yeah, I did Amazon, and I actually have friends who sell millions a year on Amazon. I'm clicking into List Perfectly so I can look at like the 5 million platforms and see.
Right.
Because like Amazon for me was kind of boring. And I didn't like it, so that's why I stopped and focused on eBay. Like my friends that sell millions mostly do private label and get their stuff manufactured overseas, which does not appeal to me. I'm not just doing this for the money. I'm doing it because it's something I enjoy, and that would not make me enjoy. So I'm looking at their 5 million platforms. I would say maybe like, what about Instagram, guys? Like the Instagram shop. I would think about that. Maybe posting some stuff to Instagram. But I am kicked off Facebook Marketplace, and Facebook and Instagram are all the same company. So maybe I'm kicked off Instagram without even starting. It's very possible.
Yeah.
I am. I'm not allowed.
All on together. They're watching you.
So if that's the case, I'm kicked off Facebook. Maybe Cherish, because I do get some of the high end decor items. So maybe Cherish to list my $500, $600, $700 decor items. Maybe that's probably what I would do. Be Cherish. Can anybody tell Miss Katrina some good toy bolos?
I mean, older GI Joes always do well.
Sure.
I always do good with wrestling figures. Not all of them are worth money, but if you could find like a Facebook Marketplace ad that they're selling a bunch of them, usually if you can get them in a lot, you'll end up doing well with them. Hot Wheels, the older Hot Wheels, things like that.
Yeah, like Joe said, usually it's a lot of the 80s and 90s toys, GI Joe, He-Man, Ninja Turtles. I do well selling accessories too, parts and pieces, weapons and whatever, armor pieces and vehicles. There's a lot out there that you can sell, but that's a good start if you can find that kind of stuff. But some of the obscure stuff too. Use Google Lens if you don't recognize the figure, and you can get a lot of information there. And then look up on eBay what they sell for, and you'd be surprised.
So I sell a lot of toys. I sell 5 figures of toys every year. I even have a Ghostbuster, the original Ghostbuster station in the background. Is actually my Ghostbuster as a kid. But when you're dealing with like 80s toys, I would say Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles are 80s and 90s, He-Man, G.I. Joes. When you look out for the G.I. Joes, is the straight arm when their elbows can't bend. That's actually the first series from 1982. G.I. Joe accessories sell tremendously well. They sell more than the actual figures do lots of the times because the accessories are so small. When it comes to wrestling figures are huge. So if you look for the big rubber ones or with the LJN figures from the 1980s, in the early 90s, they actually came out with the Hasbro ones that you can they had spring loaded and you can push the arms down, they can move up. If you're looking at new wrestling toys, anything from like the WWE Elite is something you want to look out for. But I would say is Google Lens, like they mentioned, Google Lens is great for trying to identify action figures. Horror figures sell tremendously well. There's a whole cult following for anything horror. Early NECA stuff. NECA from the early 2000s, McFarlane from the early 2000s for like Nightmare Before Christmas, stuff like that sells really, really well. And then if you're looking at like 12-inch figures, like the big figures, Sideshow toys, if you see Hot Toys, they are high-end toys meant for collectors, not for kids. And they usually come in a box. They look so realistic, and they usually sell for hundreds of dollars. So a lot of times you can find, I do really well at the flea markets, picking up like Hot Toys or Sideshow toys. They sell really well. So being on the lookout for those bigger figures, especially if they say NECA, Sideshow, or Hot Toys.
Yeah, so Regal Siegel said, love NECA and McFarlane. I have like 3 boxes of McFarlane toys. I bought like a giant cart full of them. And we haven't listed them because we're going to have to use Google Lens to identify them. And a lot of them they put because like the parts weren't with them. And I'm like, I spent $500, like I haven't made a penny off of them because they're going to be really hard to list. And I'm kind of kicking myself because I don't do toys. So that's hard. Larry, it's hard for me to answer, I guess I should say, because I don't do toys. Larry says Joe, Mike, and Dan's 2-hour Wednesday shows were a laugh fest from the beginning to the end. He said all that sticks out in his head is Mike in a onesie and Joe in a crock pot and Dan in his shoes.
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Larry.
Larry is a great guy. I've met Larry in person. He's a really, really nice guy. Thank you so much, Larry. Here, I'm
Super chat.
my clicking is faster than my talking. Thank you, Larry. All right, listen. So I haven't even told the guys that I'm doing this, and I honestly just decided. I haven't even told Rod. Let's bring back the 10-minute quick fire. Did you guys see this when we did it?
I don't think so. I did. I haven't.
We have 19 questions unanswered. So we are going to basically try to just yes or no it unless you need to use one sentence. And we are going to try and get through as many questions in the last 10 minutes as we can. Are you ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Joe, you better really be ready.
I know. I'm nervous now.
Hopefully they're all Poshmark
And
questions.
if it's just a one-person answer, I'm going to move to the next one. And this is just it's all on Joe now. How do you know if your eBay is a store versus regular?
You need a store subscription.
Right.
Yeah, you would have to subscribe to it.
Yeah.
Pay for it. Right.
Does having a store make you have more sales than a regular account?
Yes. Oh, sorry.
Sure.
You get more
Going
lists.
overboard.
You can list
You
more.
list more. Yeah.
So you would theoretically have more sales. Yes.
Yeah.
Rod, go. We got to answer
Oh,
in our
that's it,
circle.
yeah. You get more sales by listing more items with the store.
I say no. And I'm going to say no because if you list that many items with or without a store, you'll get more sales. I don't think having a store mattered. Okay. Scott wants to know, on Poshmark, do reviews even matter? As long as you don't have many, can anyone even see them? Joe is the Poshmark expert.
I'm not sure if it matters.
Doesn't matter to Joe.
Yeah, I don't think it matters because you can't
No.
see him really. So
No.
Share,
Okay.
share and join the
Betty-
party.
Betty says, I sold a 26-inch boat motor to Japan. eBay emailed, said it's not allowed. She shifted to global shipping. eBay let her keep the money, refunded the buyer. What happens to the boat motor? Do you know? Yes or no?
No.
I don't know, but I ended up getting an item back after they. It took a few months to get back, and I ended up getting it back. It was a pocket knife that went in your belt buckle, and I sold it overseas somewhere, and they didn't let it in, so it took a couple
I have
months
no
to
idea.
get back.
it happened to me, and they refunded my money, and I never got mine back. So it just disappeared.
eBay,
So,
eBay
no.
CEO keeps the boat motor.
We don't know where the boat went. What is the advantage of having an eBay store?
I think you can run sales, promotions, things like that.
Yep. You get a coupon in the every quarter.
Research tools.
Research therapy, right?
Yeah, just cheaper. Alsam Vintage reseller certificate, description of business activity. What would you put on it? She sells mostly vintage miscellaneous. This is not a yes or no question.
Sure, put that on there.
Online sales.
Online sales, yeah.
Online sales. Other.
We're not
E-commerce.
being very fast. E-commerce.
Sorry.
Thank you. That's good.
E-commerce.
Perfect.
That's good, Joe.
What are the best? Here we go. We're going to throw it in the quick fire. What are the best board games for a bolo that you buy? And thank you for your info.
I sold a Haunted Mansion. I guess it was Monopoly, Disney Monopoly, Haunted Mansion game. Oh no, it was Clue, Haunted Mansion Clue game that I did really well with.
Yeah, to that point a little bit. Sometimes when Monopoly puts out those special editions, like I think right now there's a Yellowstone, or for that TV show Yellowstone. If you can find them, sometimes they're on sale. Pick them up, but you got to sell them right away because then everyone buys them and it gets glutted. But I would say those special edition Monopoly ones that are current hot sellers.
I sell most board games. I sell is Ouija boards. I
Oh
sell
yeah,
one of those. They are super hot. You see them, pick them up. Also, the limited edition Scrabble boards, the collector's edition sets, the like real high end ones are good too.
I wish I said Ouija board.
I don't. Oh yeah, Ouija board. Some old Ouija boards sell for a lot. They do.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, dolphin. Halt. Reverse. Here's your dolphin. Thank you. Okay. Has anyone sold a Gerard Perigo watch? I think I even said it right.
I haven't.
I haven't, but I saw him play against the Flyers one time in 1984.
No, I haven't.
No. We don't know this because we don't use it. How much time do you spend researching your items?
This might be a little bit long-winded answer. Something that I started doing last year, which helped me out a lot, is I start my research. If I'm out thrifting and I decide to, buy that item at the thrift store or yard sale, wherever I'm at, I save the draft right there. If I'm looking it up, I sell similar right there. And so I have it in my draft file. So all I have to do is take the pictures, do a little description if I want to change some item specifics, and it's right there. So I don't spend much time once I make that decision that I'm buying it.
Yeah, I look for sell-through rate, which is how many listed versus how many sold. And then it also depends on what the cost of the item is versus what it's selling for. If it's cheap enough and maybe there's not so many sold, I'll take a chance.
A quick look at sell-through rate. I don't really like to spend a minute or two do that unless I'm buying a giant lot or giant collection. Then I just have to find some high-end items in there to make sure it's worth me purchasing that giant lot.
Each item probably no more than 5 minutes total. Do you use your phone to list or your computer, and why?
Phone. I've always used it. I tried the computer, can't get used to it, so I'm more comfortable on my phone.
I list on the computer. Every once in a while, I will try the phone, but I'm not comfortable with it, so I hate it.
I list my phone because my phone's with me all day long, and I can list from anywhere at any point in time.
I list from my phone because I think it's easier and faster, but I make my drafts active on the computer. Like, so that my listers, if my lister's listed, I make it active on the computer, not on the phone. Okay. Do you have issues with Facebook Marketplace and scammers? Nearly all of the interest on Marketplace that she's gotten have been scammers.
I don't sell on Facebook Marketplace anymore, but I did run into a lot of that when I started.
I don't have a huge issue. There are some knuckleheads out there. You just got to deal with it and move on.
There's a lot of scammers on there. And they're going to find the easiest platform where it has the most people on there just starting out. So you just got to deal with it and move and just be smart.
Scott said I should just cut you off. Like, that's your answer.
That's it.
I was kicked off Facebook Marketplace, but yes, I did have a lot of scammers, but I did, when I was on there, I made a lot of sales, but I would say half and half was scammers. Richard just wants to interrupt my fast with a dolphin. Right. And he said, if he has please everybody do not come asking me, Richard.
Mm-hmm. What's your email again? Yeah.
It is otnipdropflips@gmail.com. That is my email.
Great answer.
Richard,
Great answer.
Here's your dolphin. Dun, 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 dun. Is it possible to use Terapeak to find or look for items to source for?
I think it would take a lot of time. I have only used Terapeak a few times to look up something that I couldn't find, and then find yourself a friend that has a Worth Point subscription and reach out to them if you really need to know.
Right. Agreed. And it's probably the same person that you use their Netflix account for. So
you can use it to source. I'd say because you can go back, I think 2 years now with Terapeak, so you can actually search from highest to lowest. And so if you are looking for a certain thing, what I do is I just type in the item, highest to lowest, just to see what the higher end items are to look out for.
I don't like Terapeak because it doesn't include photos. That's why I prefer WorthPoint. So I would say no, I use WorthPoint. I need to know if Katrina Watson is counting me, because if you guys do not know, my name is Katrina. That's what CAT is short for. So I need to know if there are really four. If there are four, that would be kind of crazy. Okay, anyways, on to the question. Do any of us use a QR code to give out to attract shoppers to our items?
No,
I do not.
No.
I use a QR code from my social media accounts. I put a sticker and I put it on my packages as a thank you note, so I can scan it, go to my YouTube and my Instagram and all my accounts.
I do not. I know Richard does. Richard does that. So ask him about where he sent people to on the first try. Okay. Anyways, I'm getting you back, Richard. Take that. So my code for almost everywhere is the Nurse Flipper. Joe has one too, though. You can use Joe's. I got a $10 credit, though. I don't even give out my invite code for Posh, and I think people just put it, and they're like, "Oh, you have $10." I just bought Dalton new Nikes with credits because somebody said I referred them, and I got $10. So, yeah.
Nice.
Okay, we're getting through all these questions because I only have 6 left. So answer fast if you want to go to bed. No. Have any of you found a glassy baby?
No.
No, but I do look for it in the glass section right now. I haven't found one yet.
Never found one.
I have not found one, but I look. Have any of us found many old vintage classic Rock Tour t-shirts? Quit adding questions, Rod. Rod never wants to go to bed.
I might have found one or two. I might have found one or two, but I rarely find them.
Right. I haven't found many, maybe just a handful, like two or three, maybe.
I found a ton. Usually, if you do find them, it's going to be a collection from one person that has a bunch of them. Because usually, when people have them, they buy them at every concert they go to as a something to remember. So,
yeah, I have not been lucky enough to. I wish I had, but I have not. Shave-a-thon, I'm going to answer this. Used fragrances are not allowed on eBay, so I would put them on Mercari, and I don't doubt that they will crack down on that soon as well. Where you find out about my member details, I will say this really fast since we're in the quick fire. So $1.99, you get listing reviews once a month. That is this Thursday. So I look at your store, help you get more sales. $9.99 a month is member sourcing. So you get the reviews. Plus I look for stuff for you once a month in your zip code on HiBid. And $19.99, you get to see us acting like idiots, packing every other Monday. It was today, and it was a hot mess in here until my phone died and I didn't even know it. So the $19.99, you get everything. Plus you get a lot of behind the scenes when we're busy, which is when we're stressed, which can be kind of interesting. And Dalton's on that when he's not in school too. We already answered that. What's the best whiskey?
I'm not a whiskey drinker.
That's a terrible question. Oh, I don't know. Pass.
Angel's Envy.
Yeah.
I like Jack Daniels, but I'm drinking Members Mark because that's what my husband had on top of my fridge. How do you handle collecting tax when you sell on platforms that don't collect them for you? I'm going to answer this and say legally in like 46 states, they have to. It is the law. So the only ones I could think of is like if you have your own website, like they should all be collecting them unless you're in one of those 4 states. And if you are, I will tell you it's a pain in the butt, and it was the hardest thing my accountant had to do every month. Anybody have anything to add to that?
No.
Listen, I told Rod not to add any, and then I added one. Can you sell the empty perfume bottles? You can. As long as they're empty, you can sell them. All right.
I sell a ton of perfume on eBay still, and I just mark it as new because it's still new, and I just put new 3/4 away filled. I don't sell it as used. That's my workaround.
Jake, what are you doing in my chat, buddy?
What's up, Jake?
Hi, Jake.
Oh yeah, peanut butter whiskey is good.
This is the best question. Did we both click it? We both clicked it at the same time. How long does it take to end this live show? Good question. All right, let me make. We still have 480 of you in here. Thank you so much. I'm gonna let Joe and Mike tell you goodbye, and Rod can let you. I'm gonna let Rod tell you bye and what's going on, but I'm not making big anymore because it's a new year, and he's been here long enough. I'm just kidding. So here's Joe and Mike. They can tell you, and then I will let you guys know who will be on with us next week. I will be coming to you from Key West next week. So here's Joe.
Thanks everybody for coming out and hanging out with us for 2 hours. All the questions were awesome. Hopefully I gave some sort of good information. Kat, as always, thank you for having us on. We appreciate it. And stop over, check out my YouTube channel. I go by Philly Picker, and follow me on Instagram.
Perfect. Here's Mike.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for stopping by tonight. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button for Kat and subscribe to all the panel members. Kat, thanks for having me again. I always have a great time. For those of you that want to come check me out, Sunday night live, 7:00 p.m. Eastern on the January Auction House channel.
Perfect. All right, Rod, what do you got going on? I saw you dropped a video today, right?
Yeah, so I usually drop about 2 yard sale videos a week. I dropped a brand new video today, so go check it out. I accidentally walked into the wrong house for a garage sale who wasn't having a garage sale. So yeah, that was fun.
It was so great.
Yeah, you guys can find me on Instagram, Facebook as Picking and Punching. You guys have any questions, please send me a message. I will answer every single question you guys reach out to. Subscribe and like my channel. Check out my YouTube channel. And me and Kat are actually doing a meetup in January. So don't forget that.
It is January, Rod.
That's right. That's right.
We are doing a meetup in 15 days. Me and Rod will be at the List Perfectly listing party in Wesley Chapel, Florida together. We will be there together. So come and see us. It's free. And List Perfectly is providing food and drinks. Like, how much better does that get? And And I have, Clara has told me I can tell all of you, so I'm telling. So if you do need tickets from Eventbrite, so please get them so they know how much food and drink to get. Don't just show up. Oh, Mark says he'll probably be there, which is awesome too. OG and Z. I will be live on Whatnot tomorrow night at 7, Thursday at 3, Friday at 7, and Saturday at 3. 4 days in a row live on Whatnot, 100 items a day, because I need some spending money for Key West next week. And then we'll be off for a week. I will be live from Key West next Tuesday. We are going to have Derek from Fundamentals and Regina Michelle on with us next week. They do a fun Wednesday night hangout. So we're going to have the two of them on here. We'll kind of mesh the two shows together. Christopher said, look, me and Rod are like 2 in sync now. We're clicking stuff at the same time. It's so funny. Like we click it and it like cancels it out. It's kind of funny. Christopher is putting on his black sunglasses, heading towards the back. He's bypassing the paparazzi. Chris, thank you so much. You guys, we will see you next week. I will be coming to you from Key West, and come hang out with me every single day on Whatnot and get some nice jewelry. Thank you guys so much. Check out the guys' channels if you haven't. The links are in the description if you're rewatching. We appreciate you. We will see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.